Well, as you can tell by my very heavy accent, I am not from America. I was actually born in Rio. And I grew up in Boston, so I'm constantly in this conflict of cultures where part of me wants to enter conflicts and situations with a Brazilian aspect or Brazilian attitude, and another part of me wants to do the American attitude. And so, you see in a movie where a guy has, the devil on one side and then the angel on another. Whereas in my case, I have one guy who is in a Speedo, is constantly moving around like this, shaking his hips. That's on one side. You could probably tell who represents that. And then on the other side, there's a guy in cargo shorts and, living a very simple life. And whenever I'm in situations, I'm always like, shoot, should I go with this route or another route? And I was at a barbecue recently and, I was like, okay, well, I can't eat everything. Like, where should I eat? The guy on my right, the one with the Speedo, was like, eat the steak, eat the chicken, eat the sausage, eat the salsa. And then the guy on my left with the cargo shorts was like, grab the hot dog. So it's just hard. It's hard, But yeah, I mean, being an immigrant is cool. I mean, it's really cool. It makes me different, to think that I could have been born a Brad or a Derek or something. It's just like, wow, I really dodged the bullet there. I'm in a pretty serious relationship. I've been with my girlfriend for a little over a year now, and I met her online, and I feel good saying that. I think some people are very like hesitant or shy about saying it. You ask a girl, "Oh, where'd you meet your boyfriend?" It's like, "Oh, well, I met him on Tinder." Like, no, like just say it. There's no reason. So I met my girlfriend online. I know a lot of my friends met their significant others online, and so as a PSA, if you are ugly and desperate and are looking for a relationship, which I know a lot of you guys are, check out Hinge, check out Tinder. It's a pretty good deal. One thing I noticed though on Hinge is that was like one that I frequented more, and the one where I met my girlfriend was Hinge. One thing I realized is that I am not nearly as cool as I thought I was, or not nearly as cool as some of the other people that were on there. I had a very simple profile. I was born in Rio, which is pretty cool. That's pretty much all I had going for me. Whereas everybody else was like, oh, I've been to Prague and I've been to here and I studied abroad and this and that. And I was like, shoot, I am pretty lame compared to all these other women. And I really came to this realization one day where I was at the gym. I was on the toilet and I realized that I didn't have any toilet paper in my stall. And I was like, shoot, okay, I don't know anybody who's at the gym. I can't just call for somebody and bring them. So I was like, okay, well, there's a stall next to me. Maybe I can transition over to the next stall and get toilet paper. Okay, so it was either go out the door, risk being seen, or I can slide underneath. So I slid underneath, and I'm just really sliding and inching my way. There's not a lot of room. I'm a big guy. Like, I couldn't really fit. I was squeezing my way through, and halfway through, I got stuck.
Oh, no.
I could not get myself out. I was like, this is it. Like, this is how it ends. This is the realization that I'm not as cool as I thought I was, and I learned a lesson that day, though.
What was the lesson?
That I'm not as cool as that I don't have a lot going on for me. I have being immigrant and exotic, but other than that, not a whole lot going on.
Hello and welcome to the Yet to Be Named podcast. I'm Anthony.
I am Dre.
And as you can tell, we're going to have an awesome time, a great moment here tonight with the Yet to Be Named podcast, episode 3. If you haven't watched any of the others, please go and watch them. But tonight, our guest, he is from Watertown, and he
represent.
He's a friend of ours, which we're lucky
friend
to
of
have.
the show.
Friend of the show. he listens and watches, and but he's a personal trainer by day, and then a stand-up comedian by night. Gabe Ferreira.
Woo!
Hello.
Round of applause for Gabe. Thank you, Gabe, for bringing us that awesome opening.
Yes, thank you.
Probably the best opening of the podcast thus far. I gotta say.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
I'm happy to hear it.
Yeah. But I mean, I doubt anybody's gonna beat that.
Yeah,
you never know.
I know, but hey, so far, third episode in season 2, the bar has been set.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, beat that next guest.
It's pretty high, you know.
Yeah.
So how are you, man? How's it been? What are you up to?
I've been good, man. I've been working. So I work at the gym. So I do one-on-one personal training, but I've been coaching like group classes at another gym too.
Very cool.
So I've just been trying to stay busy with that. Got some family stuff going on. You know, dad's a little sick, so just trying to be there for the family. And, but yeah, I mean, but other than that, it's just been chill. I mean, I'm in a relationship now, as I had mentioned.
We heard. Actually, the first time I heard was while you were telling this joke. Come on, man! I thought we were friends.
Did I not mention it?
No, you didn't.
Hey, by the way,
I'm just kidding. We talked a lot about.
I know. Yeah.
About relationships before.
Yeah. I mean, other than that, like life's been good. Work has been good. It's been picking up. Nice. The thing with fitness is that like people just leave for over the summer. Like they are just not around. I work at a pretty like bougie gym, so my clients then are like pretty wealthy, will like travel a lot and have houses in various parts of the country, so we'll go and be there for the whole summer.
Right.
So the summer is pretty slow, but then September starts to pick up, and
it's good to be rich because during the summer I'm just around here at the house.
I know.
I'm working.
I know. Yeah. I'm trying to flip roles one day, and like one day I'll be the one traveling and going to my houses, but
But hey, I have a question for you, and we just want to jump right in because we have a lot to talk about, and we don't want to waste time with a guest like you on the show. So here goes. Gabe, are you ready for our first question of the podcast?
I think so, yeah.
By the way, is this the first time that you're on a podcast?
I have been on one podcast before. It was just one friend, and then I was on a radio show a couple weeks ago, a Brazilian radio show.
Wow, jeez! I thought we had the honor to have Gabe Ferreira be on the first appearance on a podcast, but never mind. Never mind. We got sloppy thirds, not even seconds.
No. We just found out that we are lame.
Yeah,
at this point.
But it's fun. I mean, I've been told by people that I have a good radio voice.
You do.
I'm like, shoot, I got to put it into practice. Like, where can I talk and who's going to want to listen?
How did you score that, let's say, gig? It's not a gig, but how did you score that slot on the Brazilian talk show?
So my mom does it every weekend.
Nice.
So she was just like, you know, she was talking about me, and then I went on to specifically talk about fitness and working with the elderly clientele.
Very cool.
There was like questions about that, so they're like, "Oh, why don't you come on and talk?"
Nice,
which was cool. Yeah, and I spoke all in Portuguese, which was really hard.
Okay, there you go.
But it was cool because I went on. It was something I've never really done before. But then I had family in Brazil listening and all that.
Dude, the pressure was on.
It was.
Anthony, this is how we have to think about it. It's not that we're the lame ones. It's that he went on those 2 other shows to warm up to come here on the Yet to Be Named podcast.
It's true.
That's how it is. Now we got to change the narrative here. But Gabe, what is purpose?
Purpose. I think purpose is something that fuels motivation. It fuels energy. You know, when I think of purpose, I think of work, right? Like, what is your purpose in a work setting? You know, a lot of that is like roles. Like, what is your literal purpose in that job? You know, my purpose at Equinox, the gym that I work at, is I'm a personal trainer. I am the expert or the professional that will get client from A to B, whatever their goals are. So that's my literal purpose. But I think that I like to think of purpose as so much more than just a literal meaning. And it's really what like drives your energy and drives your motivation. Like where do you put your energy? Where do you put your mind and your thoughts? That's
Right.
where that purpose should be.
Yeah.
Because you see, and then going back to the work, people who are working jobs that they hate or that they don't see a purpose, they go from 9 to 5 just hating their jobs and not feeling that sense of purpose. So I think it gives meaning to a job or a relationship or something. It gives meaning or
Yeah.
So it's more than just the role that you play wherever you're at, but it's the thing that is above and beyond what we what we are or what we do.
Yeah, because I think we all have different purposes. Like my purpose, I have a purpose at work.
Okay.
I have a purpose and a role in my family setting, especially now that, with my dad being sick and all that, like having that kind of purpose. What is my purpose as a boyfriend? What is my purpose as a friend? You know what I mean? So I think that, at least for me specifically, it drives a lot of who I am as a person, is knowing what my purpose is in a friendship, in a relationship, in a work setting.
Right.
Yeah. Was there ever a time, because it sounds like from your answer, which by the way, it's a great answer. From your answer, it sounds like you've been thinking about that a lot for the past couple of years, maybe. Was there a time that you can remember that you can look back and like, man, back then I had no purpose, and what happened that you were able to find your purpose within your relationships?
Well, I think I think back on my previous job. Working working with something that I wasn't really passionate about, and I don't want to say too much because I don't want to start bashing on my previous job.
Yeah.
Because I really did love my job, but just thinking about what my daily work was like, and just like, again, what was the purpose behind it all? Obviously the direct purpose was making sure that this business ran, but then when it came to like me personally, like, what is my purpose being here? You know what I mean? And it's cool because like looking back on it now, and like when I left, there was a lot of people like, oh, we're gonna miss you. Like, it's not this, like, even going back now, like, oh, it's not the same without you and stuff like that. So I think part of my purpose then was just to like have a positive impact on people, and I worked in a coffee shop, whatever. And
there are a lot of coffee shops
Yeah,
around.
I know.
There's so many.
But like just the interactions that I had, and something so simple as giving somebody coffee, but doing it in a way where it's going to make them feel good about their day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For example, Andre coming in, he's having a really bad day. He's had a bad week. And then just something as simple as a simple, 2-minute conversation between the two of us can do a whole lot for a week and for a person.
Oh yeah.
So I think that looking back on it now, and the relationships that I had with the people that went there, that worked there, I think I see a lot bigger of a purpose than I did in the moment, which I think is important to think about.
That's good. So in hindsight, you would say that your purpose in that time of your life was to bring a little joy in people's days.
I think so.
As you're serving coffee.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, like, my job was pretty basic. I was just a manager, and obviously there were logistics and there were things that I had to do. But at the end of the day, at the root of it, I was serving people food or serving people coffee, right?
Yeah.
Obviously as a manager, there was a lot of other things, but I think that, I think that my purpose was to like, well, okay, here is, this person, what can I do to make this person's day better? Or like, what can I do to bring a little bit more joy? Or, how can I make this person laugh or anything like that? Because I think that, the little or the experiences that I've had in opposite roles, like, I know how much it affects me and how much it,
For sure.
fuels my day, and it fuels my entire week or just my mood and all that. Yeah. I don't know. I definitely found it important.
And it's great that you were able to kind of adopt that mindset, especially at a place that, from the sound of it, you at times weren't super fond of for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So it's great that you were able to adopt that mindset of I'm going to make someone's day a little bit better by the way that I serve them. Because if we could all adopt that kind of mindset in our everyday, I think our lives would be a lot better. But this is all in hindsight, right?
Yeah.
Now, I'm interested in the thick of it, when you had to get up in the morning and you had to go to a place that at times it wasn't the place that you wanted to be. What got you out of bed in the morning to go to a place that you did not want to be in? What was the driving force that kept you going, apart from obviously money?
Right.
But what was the other driving force to go to that place and to still have that mindset of I'm going to make someone's day a little bit better?
I think it's just my love for interactions and love for communicating with people. And I think that's what it was. I think like I enjoy alone time. I am one to take some time alone and just watch TV or do whatever. But I think what got me up in the morning and like sometimes really early in the morning was the fact that like, okay, you know, I'm going to go in, I'm going to have conversations, I'm going to meet new people. I'll bring that joy to somebody's day, or maybe I won't, you know, maybe I'll mess up their coffee and it totally flips. Or, you know, going into my job now, like maybe I won't be the best personal trainer to this person on this specific day. But I think what gets me up and what motivates me is just that ability to connect with people and being able to talk to them, and not just talk to them, but talk to them about like deep stuff too, like things that matter. Now, because I think that one of the cool things about working at a coffee shop, but also even more so working at a gym, being a personal trainer and having clients, is that you're seeing people in like pretty vulnerable
especially with fitness and stuff. But everybody does not like their body at any moment, right? And they always have to find a way to like actually love themselves, like their body and stuff. So yeah, that's super vulnerable. That's true.
Yeah, and like, you know, I think one of the coolest things about my job as a personal trainer, as a coach of classes, that you do get to see that. And, you know, I train VPs and CEOs and like people who are used to being the head honcho and used to pretending like they have it all together.
Right.
So for them to be like, I don't feel good about my body. Like I want to lose weight because I want my kids to, I want to be able to like play with my kids when I'm older, you know, like that is a state where most, if not anybody, is seeing them in. So for them to be able to trust me with that kind of information, that kind of trust, and then also trust that I'm going to get them to where they want to be,
right,
or where they want to be, is huge. And I like taking that responsibility, and I think that is a big driver in my purpose and what motivates me to work and do all that.
You play a huge part in those people's lives. It's awesome, and it's something that I can definitely see that it's something that you're definitely passionate about, because, you know, we go way back, us three, you know, Anthony, you and I, we go way back since when do we meet? How old were you? Like 15 maybe?
Probably younger.
Yeah. Really?
Well, I met you I met you at Boston Metro like a long time ago. I remember I was just like visiting the church that you were at. Yeah. And I was like, wow, this guy is so cool. Like this Andre and then here we are like years later. It's like
the roles completely switched. Now I'm like, wow, look how cool Gabe is. Man, I wish that when I grow up, I want to be just like this dude.
But it's been a while. It's been at least.
But it's interesting because through a lot of that time, maybe I remember specifically a very specific moment when we were doing a Bible study, a small group at Anthony's house, and I gave you the chance to talk, and you started talking about fitness. Yeah. And you were maybe like 17, 18 maybe back then. So I'm curious, where did the love for fitness come from? When did it start and how? Because I'll be honest with you, for me personally, it's hard for me to enjoy fitness, and I think that a lot of people can relate to that. So where does that love come from?
I think it came kind of almost out of necessity. You know, I was pretty overweight, you know, early high school and all that.
Yeah.
So I played football and baseball, so two sports that like kind of like didn't really matter how much you weighed, but
Yeah.
you know, you start high school, there's a lot of emotions, a lot of hormones and all that.
Right.
So I just didn't feel good about the way I looked, you know, so I was severely depressed. I didn't feel good about the way I looked. I was not confident at all. So at that point, my life was a big turning point because I was like, shoot, okay, now I have to turn things around. I have to lose weight, and it's all on me because nobody in my family really knows anything about fitness. Like, you know,
that's scary too, because like when you start something by yourself too, you don't want to be the person that's like, all right, I'm trying to go all in, I'm trying to do this whole thing, and then have it all turn back at you when you decided to just stop, when you're like, I'm done, and then everybody has to look at you and you're like, you feel like a failure.
And there were times like that, you know. I think people look at me now as a trainer, as somebody who's in shape, and think like, well, it's always been easy for you, and it hasn't, because especially the beginning where, you know, mentally it was a really dark place for me. And there was a lot of like going to the gym for a couple of weeks and then not going for a couple of months and then going back. So I don't know what clicked. I don't know what just kept me going all these years, but I think once I realized like what it did to me physically, but also what it did to me mentally too, I was like, I don't want to ever see a day where I am not a part of something like this, you know, where I'm not, it might not always be the same. It might not always look the same. Yeah. You know, I might be into one thing one day and then another thing another, but I know what it does to me physically, about myself physically. Yeah. But mentally, and I think even more so, like the mental aspect of it, of like, I have never felt as healthy mentally as I am right now, as I did back then. You know what I mean? And, you know, that was years ago, and a lot of things have changed since then. But I think that like, I think just being mentally healthy and just having fitness there is a big thing, you know?
Dude, that's awesome. That's amazing, man.
But we are about to break all of your fitness rules because, as you know, the TYTBN podcast loves to try new beers at every podcast. So I am sorry, Gabe, but today has to be your cheat day. Do you have a cheat day?
Every day is kind of like, there's a little bit of cheat in every day.
That's good. But so we started this tradition last week where we have no idea where we're about to try because our awesome producer, he gets the beer for us.
Yep, and he likes to tease us because he loves to be like, haha, I get the beer and you don't.
So we're totally in the blind in this one. And from the feels of it, it is not from Night Shift because these are bottles, and Night Shift does not brew in bottles or very, very hard.
They don't bottle.
Yes. And because brewing in bottles will be very, very difficult. But anyways, but he did tell me the one thing that I do know is that this is not, you are breaking one of your fitness rules because I'm pretty sure that is beer a healthy drink to have?
So it's funny. It's funny because in the month of September, I've been doing a no beer September. I'm just not drinking any beer. But I was talking to my girlfriend a couple of days ago. I was like, I'm going to have beer on Thursday, and it's okay because it's for a good cause, and we're going to talk about it.
We're a good cause. Yes.
So, it's very good
You hear that, Mom? We're a good cause.
But, I mean, obviously beer is not the best thing to be drinking, but it is what it is.
So you're breaking, let's say, your rule of no beer September, and we are breaking our rule of drinking local beer because Ashla said that this is a really good beer. It's not local, but so let's see. Drum roll, please. Let's see what the beer of the week is, and it's
Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, the number 3 best beer of 2019 by American Homebrewers Association. Description by Sierra Nevada is that it's a heavy on hops that was always the brewery plan. So in 1980, we loaded Pale Ale up with Cascade, a new hop at the time named after the mountain range, and the intense aromas of pine and citrus sparked the American craft beer revolution. Ooh.
Wow.
And if after that, I am pumped. I am pumped because I know I love pale ales.
Have you ever had
IPAs.
Sierra Nevadas?
I've never.
Really?
I don't think I have. I think we might have tried
I have never tried.
I don't know.
Because the interesting thing is because Sierra Nevada is a pretty, let's say, popular beer. You see it? You see it in a lot of places. However, I've never cared to pick one up, and I swear I thought that you would have tried.
No, I might have tried like I don't know. I maybe the packaging just threw me off, and I was like, this thing sucks, probably.
Well, that's true. Like packaging is such like a huge.
Well, I was
gonna
gonna say,
beer.
The whole cliche saying of like don't judge a book by its cover, but I love good packaging.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love a good cover page. I love a good label.
Yeah.
And I think that says a lot about even before you taste it, like what does a company do to label and market their beer?
That's what I'm saying.
Or any product, I guess.
So,
the heck?
Looking at the cover of this book, what do you think we're about to try?
Sierra Nevada. I feel earthy tones.
Okay.
Something
Okay.
earthy.
Some rocky flavors in there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, dude, very mountainous
And very watery, maybe.
high up.
Which by the way, Sierra Nevada is they are a mountain range in California and a part of the PCT Trail, the Pacific Crest Trail. And man, it is one of my dreams to be able to hike the PCT and one day go through the
this is
Sierra
where he's
Nevadas.
gonna-
Because once you get to the Sierra Nevadas, it can either make it or break your PCT hike, your PCT through
Well, you
hike.
won't even have to hike after having this one.
Exactly. This will take me there.
It's
All right.
gonna take you there.
Let's jump right in. So the first thing that we
let me
do, Gabe,
see
as you
here.
probably are aware of, we look at the beer. So let's take a look. What do you see, Gabe? Tell us.
Pretty clear.
Yep.
I like
Not
it.
hazy at all.
Yeah, it looks pretty. I feel like pretty normal. It kind of looks like a IPA-ish kind of tone and
Yes.
color to it.
Even though there's a lot of
Golden
IPAs
brown.
nowadays that they are leaning more towards the hazy side of things.
It looks
But-
good. I mean, just from looking at it, it looks refreshing.
Yes.
Yeah, that's where they
Now,
get you.
let us sniff it up.
What?
Oh, God damn it! Every time.
He sniffed it.
I sniffed up the
How does
the
it taste
foam.
to the nose?
Okay, smells pretty good.
Okay, just
Smells like hops.
yeah. It doesn't really have a distinct smell. Maybe
No.
a little bit more malty than you'd think.
You know
but
what's funny?
whatever.
Ever since we tried, what's the honeycomb one?
the honeycomb.
Yeah, with the label that's the honeycomb. Buzz.
Buzz. Yeah.
Ever since we opened the Buzz can, I compare every other beer's smell to that one.
Really?
Because Gabe, once you have an opportunity, buy that can and open it in your house, the whole house is gonna
Really?
smell like
Yeah,
pineapples.
it's crazy.
All right, so
You said pineapple?
pineapples.
Yeah.
Now we came. This is what we
It
came
ain't
to do.
pineapples though, man. Just say.
Yeah, it's not. That's what we came to do. Let us taste the Sierra Nevada Pale Ale.
Ooh. It lingers.
Oh my god.
It has a very like round taste.
Oh my god. I can't even. I don't even know what to say anymore.
I'm thinking about it.
Why is this so creamy? It's so weird.
It is creamy.
It is very creamy.
It's so good. It's refreshing, and it's a pale ale.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. A pale ale that is refreshing. What the heck?
Like
So-
it's so bitter at the end, though. But like you like it because
It's a
like,
good bitterness.
It was like the note that hits the first note is it's creamy. The next note is it's kind of like fruity actually, like a weird maybe like I don't know, like I don't know. It's kind of fruity, maybe citrusy. That's what it is. and then
I'd say
right at
that's
the
a
end,
slight hint of citrus. Yeah,
and then right at the end, it's just like, yeah,
Yeah, it's good.
Here's
It's a
some beer.
journey.
punches you in the gut.
Well, I think a good beer like will have that like 2 or 3 part flavor to it. Whereas
Yeah.
like you drink a Bud Light or a Michelob
Or
Ultra,
an arrogant bastard where it's bitterness all the way through.
Right. You just get one flavor in those kinds of beers, but like this is good because it like starts as one thing, kind of the middle is that creaminess to it, and then it has that aftertaste that
Pretty interesting. I was not expecting
crap.
that. I was really not expecting that.
it's good.
But okay,
Oh my
but now afterwards, a little bit after a couple of sips, it is not very refreshing. I'm very thirsty
Yeah.
right now. It is refreshing in the moment. The moment that you
Yeah.
drink it, it's like, oh, this is good. This is refreshing. But like, my mouth is watering a lot
because,
right now.
Yeah, because of the bitterness of the hops.
I was more refreshed before I drank it than after I drank it. So
God damn you, Sierra Nevada. God damn you.
You got to us. It tastes too good not to keep drinking.
All right, Gabe, what would you rate out of 5 Sierra Nevada Pale Ale?
I think I would rate it a 3.9.
3.9. That is our very first 3.9 of the podcast. Very
Yeah.
cool. Very cool.
It's not a whole 4, but
Why is it a whole 4? What is the one thing that stopped being a whole 4?
I think if it felt refreshing, and I think that this would be a good beer to like, especially with all the flavors.
God damn.
I think if it was refreshing, it would have brought it up to like a 4.5. But it's just like, yeah, it just doesn't do it.
0.6 is like what it is.
What about you, Anthony? Out of 5, what would you rate
God
it?
damn. It's like you're saying, it's hard because you're like, I don't know. I'd like it. It's a 5 for me.
5?
Wow.
Yeah, I
What?
like it too much. I can't just be
Wow.
like,
Have
I
you
can't
Throw in the
yeah.
fireworks.
Have you given a 5 before?
Have I? Yeah, yes.
Not in the podcast.
Yeah.
you did?
Angela.
Oh,
Angelica.
Angelica.
Dude,
yeah, yeah.
Angelica, oh my. Oh, I love her.
Oh, Angelica, yes.
She's the hazy orange IPA is beyond
Oh, that's
good.
Angelica.
Oh yeah.
Angelica, Gabe,
Angelica.
Cheers.
All right, for me, I give Sierra Nevada Pale Ale because of the fact that at the end, as Gabe said, it is not as refreshing as I would have hoped. I'll give it a 3.5.
3.5?
A 3.5. Because it's igniting my thirst, and it's not quenching anything.
Dude, I'm chilling. I don't know what you're saying.
But it's a very good beer.
It's like coffee, you know what I mean? You're going to drink coffee and then afterwards you're like, man,
I
need
drink
some
this and I like
water.
close my eyes a little bit and I picture like early spring.
Okay.
It's still a little cool outside, but
Yeah.
just like warm enough to be outside in like
Okay.
a sweatshirt or something. And I'm drinking something like this. I don't think it's a summer thing.
Yep.
Just yet because again, it's not refreshing.
Yep.
But then it's like too fruity to be a winter.
Yep.
You know what
I
I'm
got you
saying?
on that one.
I
yeah.
picture that.
It's like it's just right there on the cusp.
Yeah.
Oh. So good.
Well,
me back.
anyways, but you know, Gabe, you know what is not refreshing? Talking about politics.
I know.
Politics is never refreshing. But we here at the let's try that again. We at the Yet to Be Named podcast, we like to talk about politics here and there. And I want to know because, you know, there's a lot of opinions out there on YouTube, on Twitter, on Facebook, what have you, blogs. And we want to hear from the regular people, the everyday people like us.
Yep.
Now tell me, Gabe, how has the current political climate affected your work? Or has it affected at all?
So I was thinking about that, and it's good timing because of, I don't know if you guys heard about the whole thing that happened with Equinox and Soul Cycle, and
No.
Not at all.
so there was a guy named John Ross who is a passive investor of Equinox and Soul Cycle,
Okay.
and he was having a fundraiser lunch or fundraiser dinner in the Hamptons for Donald Trump.
Okay.
People found out about it, people who are members of Equinox and who attend Soul Cycle, and were pissed. They were on Instagram, and it was like not just people who are going to the gym, but like Chrissy Teigen and like celebrities were like, we're pissed. We're going to cancel our membership. You know, we don't want to be a part of a gym that condones or supports Donald Trump.
Gotcha.
So that was something that we had to deal with like within the last couple of months of just people being really pissed. And it was like kind of a bad situation for me because I was like as low on the food chain as you can get as a personal trainer. And here is an investor, somebody I'd never heard of before, you know, a supporter of Trump. And then now I'm kind of having to explain myself why I'm a part of Equinox or something like that.
Did people actually come up to you and ask that?
I had clients and I had like friends who were members of the gym.
Okay.
Be like, I'm pissed about this. Like, did you know? Like, and I was like, no, I don't know who invests in the company. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. You're like, I just work here.
Yeah.
Like,
so
that's it. It's my job.
So that was an interesting thing because it was like, I kind of had to defend myself in some ways of like, well, I work at Equinox because I'm trying to make a living and I am trying to do this and that for myself. And one, I had no idea about any of these people. And two, like, it doesn't really affect me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
like
you can make an argument for both sides and be like, well, if you're working for a company that has somebody related to, you know, some kind of connection to Donald Trump, aren't you, in fact, then supporting Donald Trump? But then you can say that about any company. You know what I mean? Like, no company is 100% Democrat or no company is 100% anti-Trump people. You know what I mean? So every company is going to have it. And the timing of it was just like.
Well, there's a small thing that I can say there is like businesses have become like where it can get bad is like if businesses become too political and not enough about the consumer. They're like, we want to reach out to this portion that we haven't gotten to yet. So we're going to put a political campaign and throw it out there. And hopefully that everybody in that area that we haven't reached out to will come in and buy our products and stuff. And like, man, those things can get like really, really dicey.
How did Equinox handle that situation?
They emailed the staff. I don't know if they ever emailed members, but they emailed the staff for sure saying like, listen, just because he is an investor in the company, that does not mean that the company stands with his beliefs or anything like that. You know, Equinox does do a pretty good job of setting up an environment that is inclusive, and it's inclusive of people of all shapes and sizes, but also, you know, gender affiliations and sexual orientations, race and all that, which I think there's a lot to be said about that because it's not something that's easy to do. So there was kind of like, oh, he is an investor, but actually we don't stand with anything, which I agree with. Just with like the day-to-day of Equinox and whatever.
What does the day-to-day have to do with him being an investor?
Yeah, well, but it's like, you know, Marco said this in his episode, saying like people just like to be upset and they like to have something to put their upset towards or their anger towards. You know what I mean? And in this case, obviously they're upset with Trump, but they have something that's personal and that they can connect that hate to.
They can demonize.
Yeah, so they're like, I hate Trump, and now the gym that I attend is a supporter. Yeah. So I'm going to direct that anger towards them.
Do you think that anger was justified?
No, I don't think so because, you know, they do a lot, again, to have people feel inclusive, you know, regardless of who you are, where you come from. I mean, obviously, it's an expensive gym, and you do need to have some kind of wealth to be a part of the gym. Okay. But other than that, like, they do a good job of making things like inclusive and all that.
Because I think that, let's say, these categories that we divide ourselves, whether it's Democrat or Republican or, you know, rich or poor or whatever other category, they shouldn't matter at a gym.
Right. Yeah.
At a gym, all that really matters is your personal fitness. It doesn't matter
your goals.
Yeah, it's just your personal.
How am I going to get from
goals.
A to B?
Well, but going back to purpose again, like why are you here?
Yeah.
What is your purpose of being at a gym? Is it that you want to lose 10, 15 pounds or that you want to make a political statement behind it. You know what I mean? Like,
do you
It's
think
all
that
an agenda.
Do you think that nowadays people are attempting to make more of those political statements in places that maybe they didn't before?
I think so, because you had asked the question of, are people more divided than ever? And I think that it's true. And I think that people are looking for any kind of bait, any kind of fuel that they can use to, again, direct that anger towards, for that political agenda kind of. So, I think of school shootings and, all of the crazy stuff that's going on. A lot of times they have kind of a selfish reason behind connecting that to what their opinion is. You know what I mean? Of like, oh, I am upset with this because, I'll use immigration as an example of like there's a crime that happens and it happens with, in a Latino community or whatever. And they then make that connection of, well, this is why immigration should be stricter or whatever. You know what I mean? Like people just like to connect that anger towards something that is tangible, but also personal to them. You know what I mean? So it kind of justifies their anger and justifies them in a way.
Have you ever personally felt angry about things that are going on in American politics?
For sure, yeah. I mean, again, me being from Brazil, immigration has always been something that's been close to me, and not just me, but my family, my close friends and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I think that going back to the being inclusive and all that, like, one of my biggest angers and what upsets me the most is the way a lot of people look towards immigration and people who aren't from America. Because that's as personal as it gets to me, right? Because I'm not from here. I was born in another country.
Sure.
I came here with hardworking parents, not to steal anything from anybody else, but just to live a better life.
Yeah.
So I think that if anything has brought me anger when it comes to politics, it's been immigration, because not only does it affect me and my family, but it also makes me feel like, well, I don't feel welcomed here. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Now, when you hear some people being, let's use that word, bigots towards immigrants, how do you
saying that's a dangerous word?
I
right
know,
there.
but let's go for that. That was the first word that popped in my mind, so we're gonna go with that. Which to describe, because some people, unfortunately, they do go to the extremes, especially online, because it's easy for you just to post something that is going to get a lot of retweets, that's going to get a lot of hearts on Twitter or likes on Instagram, whatever.
Or but watches on YouTube for some reason.
Yeah, but when you hear people being bigots in regarding to immigration, and you feel that anger build up inside because of your personal connection, because of your story, of your family's history of coming to this country and making a life for themselves here, how do you handle that anger?
Well, I try to handle as professional as I can. One, because if I'm doing it in a work setting, I, at the end of the day, also need to look professional with whatever I do bring up. You know what I mean? So I try to be patient, and I think that that's something that I try really hard to do and like really work on it day to day. And it's being patient, regardless of what you're saying, regardless of how crazy your statement is. I'm like, okay, how can I approach this in a patient way where it's not gonna, make me look bad or anything? You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, if I'm arguing with a member, this is my job. This is just somebody's gym membership. Yeah. So
you have a lot more to lose than they do.
Right. And then also if I'm in public or anything like that, and I get any sort of negative conversations or anything like that, or whatever, like, I'm also like, well, I need to look professional, but also I don't want to cause a scene. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to get arrested, or I don't want to, put myself or the people that I'm with in danger or anything like that.
Yeah.
So I think taking the high road? Is that the saying? Like, being like, okay, let me try to understand what you're saying. And if I think you're crazy, or if I don't think that this is going anywhere, I'm going to remove myself from this situation, because I'm not going to risk my mental sanity or my physical well-being / safety to prove a point.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
Understanding is such a key thing to kind of unravel all of this confusion, this hatred that unfortunately politics has caused in the past few years. It's not easy. It's definitely not easy to take that step back and be like, let me try to understand this person that they are saying some pretty hateful things, and it's really getting to me personally.
I mean, I think that's with people in general. I think people have now, I don't know, I can't tell you 10 years ago if they didn't, but now they've been more of like, what I say is more important than what you say, so I could care less what you got to say.
Well, I think that people have the level of stubbornness has never been higher than it is right now. And thinking, okay, this jacket is green. And I guess that's a bad example because it is green. But
no, bro, it's clear blue.
Let's say this jacket is cool.
Yeah.
I will set my opinion on it and I will not change it no matter what.
Yeah, the idea of being able to change your opinion is kind of crazy to a lot of people, because like when you think about it, when you're stubborn, you're like, well, this is what I believe and that's it.
Right.
And then when somebody presents like a new idea, it's like, well, I don't care because I'm going to be stubborn because I don't know how to change my views and be able to consider what you have to say.
Yeah, I think one thing that I going back to immigration, I think that like a lot of times when I see people on Facebook or see people on TV being like, oh, we shouldn't bring immigrants into the country or anything like that, making that kind of statement towards immigration, all I want to do is like, but can you just try to understand my side?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, can you just try to understand like why my family came here?
Right.
Can you just try to understand, the struggles that my family has gone through and stuff? Yeah. So like, I think that it works on both sides, right? Like, I think that there's a lot of issues that immigrants are dealing with. There's also a lot of issues that people who are born in America and, have lived here their whole lives or whatever and are against immigrants. They have issues too, you know what I mean? But I think the worst thing you can do is not be empathetic or not at least try to understand the other person, because then that's where you don't get anywhere,
Yeah,
because
I think you hit that with empathetic. Like that's the word. There's no empathy anymore, right?
Yeah, I mean, people are always going to have their opinions, and it's not always going to match up to what your opinion is, but you can at least try to understand what they're trying to say or where they're coming from. I have friends who have very different opinions too, and the worst thing you can do is be like, well, this is what I stand for, this is what I think, and I'm not even going to listen to what you're saying or try to understand you.
Yeah. Would you blame Trump's presidency to that increase in stubbornness, or do you think it's something that has been increasing for many years past, and it's just now hitting its peak?
I think it's been boiling over for a long time, but I think that Trump is what just like kind of
push things over the edge.
Loose. Yeah.
They pushed them off the plank.
Because I don't think we've ever seen a president that is as drastic and as like problematic as Donald Trump. Taking actual politics aside and like what he stands for, like I don't think we've never had a president who has been, accused of sexually assaulting somebody else or anything like that.
I mean, we
have while they were in office, but you saw what happens to them. There was some serious consequences, but for Trump, it's like he's immune to all of these things, which blew
and he can say
everyone's mind.
Just the things that he is. Those are the things that he has said. I'm like, how? Like, I would get fired for saying those things. Like, how do you still have a job in the White House?
It's insane.
So I think that like having that as our leader and our representative for the rest of the world, I think just kind of set everybody loose and was just like, okay, well now like this is my opinion, like this is what I want to do, and blah blah blah. So yeah.
And not only that, but like, man, when you present your views, and then there's a large group behind you, what it can do, how much that can damage if you're not paying attention, right?
Right.
Like how dangerous, like you say something, like it could be like crazy and you don't even know it, but you just say it. You don't care. Like it's my view. It's my personality. It's who I am. You guys have to accept who I am. Like, no matter what it is that's said, if you try to attack the person based off of what they said, it's just like you can't even that's it. You have to take it out of your hands because you're a bad person for not accepting that viewpoint.
If there's anything that I've learned from the kinds of jobs that I've done, working at a gym, working as a fitness coach, is that everybody is hurting to some degree. You know, everybody has some kind of issue they're dealing with, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. Like, everybody's dealing with something. And again, the worst thing you can do is not try to understand that person, regardless of how they look or who they are. And just like try to understand that like people are upset, but a lot of people have good reasons to be upset about what they're talking about, you know?
Yeah.
Now, Gabe, we could be here talking to you about 101 things all night, continuing to drink Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, but unfortunately, we got to bring things home. But it's a tradition of season 2 of the podcast for us to have all of our guests try the infamous durian candy straight from Thailand. But before I give it to you, I want to ask you one fitness-related question. If you had the opportunity to be Donald Trump's personal fitness, personal trainer. Thank you.
I was like,
his personal trainer. What would be the number one goal that you would want him to work on?
I think he just seems like he's so anxious and so like wound up and just crazy. I think for a lot of reasons.
Okay.
But I think he doesn't seem like somebody who works out, and I think that working out a little bit will kind of like bring him down a little bit, you know what I mean, and be a little bit more sensible. And so just like hop on a treadmill sometime, you know, like go for a walk or do something. You know what I mean?
Donald Trump, if you are listening, President Donald Trump, if you are listening, straight from Gabe Ferreira's mouth, one of the best personal trainers here in Boston, he said that, hey, if you are not working out, please take a walk for the sanity of all of us here.
Yes.
Go take a walk. All right, Gabe.
Treadmill.
With that, oh man, that completely missed.
Yeah, I know.
All right. So, Anthony, start wrapping things up while Gabe is unwrapping the durian candy.
Thank you guys so much for watching. If you are just watching, we also have our podcast up on Spotify, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. If you're only listening right now, hello. You can go ahead and turn over to YouTube and take you can watch it right over there. If you
definitely want to watch this, you need to see
seeing
beautiful
the
face.
Reaction, and not only listening to the reaction is great. But if you haven't seen our Instagram, please go over there, hit us up, like our photos. You know, just see what's going on over there. Hit that like button if you like what you're hearing, what you're seeing, and comment down below on some things.
How do I
that
sound?
maybe
Let me know.
Should Gabe? This is a question for this episode. Should Gabe start his own radio show?
Yep.
All right. So Gabe, let's see.
It's very hard.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if it's I was dealing with onions earlier. I don't know if it's that or.
Oh no, it's the candy.
It's the candy. Yeah.
There's hints of onion in there.
You know how Pennywise brings out the worst fears in people? This candy brings out the worst flavors in our mouths.
I can't even chew it.
So bad.
Yeah, it's gross. It smells like banana and vanilla a little bit.
Okay.
But yeah, it like tastes like onions and
oh god.
Yeah, it tastes kind of gross.
Thank you guys.
Thumbs up or thumbs down?
I give it a 0 out of 5 for sure.
But hey, you have good job at handling this candy. So far, you have handled it the best way possible.
Well, I can't even. It stuck to the side of my mouth, and I can't even chew it anymore. So.
Okay, thank you guys so much for watching or listening. You guys have a good one.
See you next week. Just kidding. 2 weeks from now.